Hello everyone, welcome on in. It is the final edition of Betting Weekly Game Bet Match for the week. I'm Nigel, Seeley, your host, and joining me is our senior ATP Tour handicapper, is Sean Calvert. Before I introduce you to Sean and ask Sean what he's been up to today, I want to ask you one thing. Please, if you've been following this show, if you've enjoyed this show, please hit that subscribe button, please hit the like, give us a comment as well, let us know your thoughts on the show, give us some of your picks as well. But most importantly, hit that subscribe button. We want to get to 9,000 followers, subscribers very, very quickly. And with your help, we can do that over the next few weeks before the French Open. Okay, let's move on to the action today. And I'm delighted to say joining me, as I said earlier, is our senior ATP Tour handicapper, Sean Calvert. Good afternoon to you, Sean.
Good afternoon. You all right?
Been watching the tennis this morning? Bit of a mix.
Of course.
The emotions have been going up and down. The Darderi match was a bit of a roller coaster. And then Botic doing Botic things.
It's clay court tennis, isn't it? You know, we've won a match that potentially we maybe ought not to have done in Darderi, who started poorly. I think he was certainly a set down. Can't remember whether I think he was a set and a breakdown as well at one stage. Yeah, he was. He was setting a breakdown, wasn't he? So that we managed to turn that one around, and then, as you said, I couldn't have said it better myself. Botic doing Botic things against Ben Shelton, losing a tiebreaker 7-1. And then donating his serve away with a few double faults and unforced errors, and that's it, isn't it? So yeah, it's a tiny profit on the day, but this is why I said with Botic, I didn't want to bet him, but the value was there, and you can't let sort of personal feelings get in the way of decent value. You have to take it when it's there, and unfortunately, he did what he so often does, which is capitulate. Unfortunately, but not too bad a day overall, I suppose.
A small profit. I didn't actually ask you yesterday on yesterday's show what your official picks were. A lot of people asked on the YouTube channels what the official picks were.
Not Botic.
Not really. Darderi, all in, 6 units.
10 points on Darderi, nothing else. Yeah.
But they were the two official picks. And as you can see at our figure at the bottom of the graphic here, when you see at the end, it's minus 5.36. But we're probably going to get about 0.2 units back there. So probably be around minus 5.2 units heading into tomorrow's action. And tomorrow's action, we are going to preview two matches. I don't know if these are the matches that you wanted to preview for tomorrow, or the ones that we had at this time of recording.
One of them is, one of them isn't.
Yeah, okay. So we'll find out which one is which. But we have two matches tomorrow. We're going to start off with the events in Munich. First of all, the most important thing we have to talk about is the conditions. Weather's still holding firm. I mean, the forecast pre-tour was a lot of rain. Is it going to change in the next couple of days?
Well, the rain wasn't expected until sort of later in the week. The first 3 days were supposed to be fine, which is what they've been. Tomorrow looks okay as well in Munich. Still quite warm, 21 degrees. A little bit of wind around as there was today, or there has been today. So, yes, it should still play on the quick side. I've got some stats in now for Munich after 16 main draw matches. I'm not sure these are accurate, actually, because it doesn't make a great deal of sense. 81.6% holds of serve. That makes sense. That feels about right. But it says 66.1% first serve points won, which seems very low considering they're saying there's 82% holds. And the average at Munich is, if I can find it, where is it? 68.3 and 76% holds. So I don't see how it can be 81.6% holds and fewer first serve points won. I'm not sure that's right, but the holds is obviously accurate, 82%. That's much, much higher. The tie breaks per set is way higher in Munich this year, as we suspected it might be. Much higher than usual, 0.35 per set, and that's probably going to go up. There's been at least one already so far today. And the highest, I went all the way back to 2008, and the highest ratio of tie breaks per set in Munich between 2008 and 2024 was 0.21. This is on 0.35. In most cases, it's double what you normally get in Munich. So just shows you that the weather conditions, when it isn't freezing and raining, it can play quite quickly.
And I suppose that's your way of thinking in the next match we're going to talk about. In the first match here over in Hamburg, it's Munich. It's the match between Hugo Humbert and Fabian Marozsan. Obviously, lefty, big server, Hugo Humbert up against a guy who's more of a traditional clay courter. Humbert has been bet all day. He's now minus 109 with Bet Rivers to win this match. Marozsan is minus 113, so it's not far off a pick and match. Originally, it was a little bit more one-sided for Marozsan. Spread is 1.5 here. Total here is 22.5. They have met twice before, and Hugo Humbert has won them both on clay as well. In the Davis Cup in 2023, he won 6-3, 6-3. The Olympics in Paris, he won 6-3, 6-2. But I don't know if you watched Hugo Humbert.
One was on indoor hard, wasn't it?
I've got 2 clay. Oh, actually, one. Well, Davis Cup indoor hard. Olympics is clay. Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah, one's indoor hard, one's clay. Yeah.
But I don't know if you've been watching Hugo Humbert this tournament. He's got some strapping.
Yeah, he's injured.
So is the money for him justified here?
I think it's very strange, the move. As far as I could see, Bet Rivers opened at 1.73 Marozsan, and the odds have been moving all over the place all day. So I'm not sure what price he is now. I think he's about 1.9ish, 1.89, something like that. The last time I looked, but everything could have changed since then because these odds are really moving a lot. That are not even in one direction, up down. Quite strange. Humbert's playing with a broken metacarpal on his right hand. That's basically the knuckle to anyone that's not of a medical persuasion. A bit like a metatarsal in the foot, which Lagan's got a problem with at the minute. Incidentally, I'm sure people will be fascinated to know that. Yeah. But the hand, it's basically a little a break on his knuckle. It's on his right hand, so I mean he's left-handed, but it's still going to affect his backhand. Because he's got a double-handed backhand. He's got I've put split here. I think I mean splint. He's got a splint and a bandage on it. So it can't be good. We know he's not particularly effective on clay anyway. Yes, it's slightly quicker this year, but it's still very heavy clay. Very thick, heavy layer of clay here in Munich. And if we look at the last 12 months statistics on clay at main level, it slightly favours Marozsan. The win rate certainly favours Marozsan, 48%. Actually, this is the last 2 and a bit clay swings, not the last 12 months. It slightly favours Marozsan overall, but win rate 48% Marozsan, 35% Humbert. The service points won and return points won totals are more or less identical, 99.7 for Humbert and 100 for Marozsan, so a tiny fraction lead for Marozsan there, but a much better win rate. If we then move on to what these guys have done on clay against top 50 opposition, Humbert, his limitations on this surface are quite clear to see. He's won 6 of his 27 matches on this surface against top 50 opposition. That's a 22% win rate. Marozsan, better, not that much better, but better. He's won 3 of his 10, so he's got a 30% win rate. And just going slightly further on that, Marozsan's taken at least a set in 60% of those matches. Humbert certainly not as effective against top 50 opponents on clay. The head-to-head I'm not that worried about because the one they played at the Olympics was Humbert really pumped up. It was obviously at Roland Garros, wasn't it? He was playing for France. I remember watching that match. I think I bet Marozsan. In fact, I'm pretty sure I did. And Humbert he's doing the fist pump, and he was really hyped up for that match, playing for France in the Olympics. I can't see him being that motivated, anywhere near that motivated, for a run-of-the-mill match on the ATP tour on a clay court, whilst having an injured knuckle as well. We know clay is Marozsan's favourite surface. He said that numerous times. Certainly isn't the case with Humbert, and this heavy clay even less so, even if it is playing slightly quicker. So I wouldn't have taken Marozsan at 1.73, but now the odds have moved in the way that I'd like them to. Then I'm happy to take Marozsan here in these circumstances. It's a good chance for him to get one over on Humbert. Not surprising that he lost on indoor hard. You would expect that, but on clay, on heavy clay, I would certainly fancy Marozsan.
Yeah, Marozsan is -113. The money has come for Humbert. We do know he's injured. He has, as Shauna said, he's playing with a splint. He's not suited to these conditions, and Marozsan obviously is. And we think the -113 here on the it's Hungarian, isn't he?
Yeah.
Hungarian is the value. -113 for Marozsan here. As I said, head across to the BetRivers website if you want to have a bet on this match. The market is moving quite quickly. This is a very evolving market. Lots of money coming here, and I can imagine it going to-ing and throwing throughout the match starts, and it's an early start again tomorrow. It's around about 5 a.m. Eastern time, so make sure you get across to the BetRivers website, download the app, and if you do place a wager on this match, you'll be able to bet live and watch live with BetRivers. Now, the next match, I'm guessing that you wanted one of the matches you wanted to discuss, and the other match you didn't want to discuss. I could imagine this one here. isn't the one that you didn't want to discuss. It's David Goffin against Mariano Navone. Navone is obviously a clay court specialist, someone who's really plays a lot of clay court over in South America. And David Goffin is a player coming towards the end of his career. Both of them come through long matches. David Goffin struggled against the British player, Billy Harris. And Navone came through against Felix Auger-Aliassime, but a real long match. It's minus 225 here for Navone, plus 175 for David Goffin. The spread is 3.5, and the total here is 21. The pair of them have never met before previously, but on the year stats so far, Navone has played a lot more clay court tennis. This will be his 14th clay court match already this season, in very different conditions, fasting conditions all around the globe. But David Goffin at his age, mate, I don't know how he can bounce back on it, but Navone's got a long match. It's a tricky one to call. We're sort of governed by the order of play here and what we can do with. But this match is probably one that it's a tricky little match.
Yeah, I mean, every David Goffin match is tricky, really. The other two options were Cerundolo and Bergs, both of whom are extremely heavy favourites, run about 1.13, something like that. I'm not convinced that they're going to be troubled that much, so not a lot to say there. But this one could be interesting. It's the best one out of the other three, I think, mainly because David Goffin is such an enigma. He beats Alcaraz in Miami, then goes and loses the next match to Nakashima, and then loses the next tournament to Corentin Moutet. That's all you need to know about David Goffin, really. He's always been the same. Wins when you don't expect him to, loses when he's heavy odds on, and anything else in between. Which is why I don't like to mention him too often. But this price is quite interesting, actually. You would expect Navone to come out on top probably right now on clay, but he was a little bit on the fortunate side to get the better of Felix yesterday, trailing by a set and a break, also trailing by a break in the final set. It wasn't the best quality match. I think you bet Navone, didn't you? I think.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So, I put him up on the newsletter at plus 125, and then I bet him again yesterday at plus 130. I thought it was a bit fortunate, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, take it. I mean, it wasn't great. I mean, the stats show you it wasn't great. Navone, 18 winners, 42 unforced errors. Felix, 25 winners, 68 unforced errors. That's quite a lot of games given away by unforced errors between the pair of them. So not the best quality. It did take 3 hours. Maybe a little bit of fatigue on the part of Navone. I mean, he didn't play particularly well, and he's had a long match. So those are two kind of negatives for someone that's minus 225. If you look at what they've done, the pair of them since the start of 2023 on clay at main level, it's not a massive gap between them. Navone service points 1 and return points 102. Goffin 99. So it's not a major gap as far as the stats are concerned. What interests me about Goffin is he occasionally pops up and does pretty well not occasionally, reasonably regularly as underdog. He's won 6 of his last 13 matches, Goffin, when he's been priced up at plus 150 or bigger, 2.5 or bigger. So you'd certainly been in profit if you'd have backed Goffin. Well, he definitely would have been, because he'd have a very big price, wouldn't he, against Alcaraz? Not sure what price he was. But if you just blindly backed Goffin when he's bigger than plus 150, you'd have made a pretty decent profit. He's plus 175 here. This is a match where your head says, yeah, Navone will win this on clay, but not after that level against Felix and a very long match to boot, 3 hours. I would perhaps sprinkle a little bit of pizza money on Goffin here. If you are going to do that, it comes with its own dangers, but if you are going to do that, I would certainly be inclined to maybe trade out if he wins the first set or leads in any significant way. So, yeah, that's probably where I'd go with this one.
I mean, Goffin is plus 175 at Bet Rivers, as again, it's another early start over in Munich. Trading out, in play is the way to go there. And obviously, if you do have a bet with Bet Rivers, you'll be able to watch the match and in play, bet live and watch live with Bet Rivers as well.
Would have worked on Baez, wouldn't it, today? That was my advice on that one as well. He won the first set, and then didn't do much after that.
He looked really good in the first set. I bet him in play, actually. I took the minus 132 in play, 8 to 11.
Did you trade, like I said?
No, I didn't. No. I had to do errands. I had to go and take Paula to her mum's.
Oh, right.
I had to go and pick up the dog from somewhere. I had errands to do. When you have busy lives, as you all know,
I know. I just had to go and get the money for the cash point for the cleaner.
Yeah.
So,
well, these are the problems. You have to get cash point money for the cleaner. You got the cleaner. Oh God, this is unbelievable.
Somebody's got to clean. I'm not the best at cleaning. I don't mind it, but I'm not great. Well, I'm pretty sure you don't do any cleaning around that house either, by the way.
Well, no. No, I didn't even know it. I didn't even know whether. Anyway, but we don't have a cleaner. We used to have a cleaner. The cleaner retired.
It's not easy. So did ours, actually. It's not easy to get a good cleaner.
I wouldn't trust anybody else. I had the same cleaner for a long, long time, and she was Sharon. Her name was. She was very trustworthy, and I wouldn't trust anybody else to come in the house. But anyway, so It's an absolute dump. It's a Carsey now.
It's not been cleaned for 6 months since she retired.
No, it's absolutely done. There's cups everywhere. Anyway, let's move on to Barcelona, where it's our second tournament this week, an ATP 500 over in Barcelona as well, over in Spain. And Sean, what's the stats here? The weather looking good? Are we looking fair tomorrow?
Good question. I have got the stats. I'm going to have to do the weather kind of live in a second when my phone updates. But as far as the statistics are concerned, again, I've got 16 main draw matches here. The first 16, obviously, 76.5% holds and 67.5% first serve points won. Now that feels about right. The other one was almost 82% holds and 66%. I'm not sure that's right. If those stats are correct, 76.5 holds and 67.5 first serve points, well, that makes it playing at the minute just a little bit quicker than average, but there's only been 16 matches, so that's got time to change. As far as the weather is concerned, tomorrow looks fine, actually. It looks like 20 degrees and sunny by the look of it. Yeah, sunny all day, according to this. A little bit of wind, about sort of 10 mile an hour, but yeah, I'd suggest, if bearing in mind the stats I've just said, and the weather's going to be quite sunny as well, I'd say it might play a little bit quicker tomorrow.
A little bit quicker, which may be an advantage to some of these players, especially the second match we're going to talk about. But the first match, it's more or less a pick a match. It's Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, our pick last week in Monte Carlo, which is semi-finals, gone deep. Beat Stanislaus Wawrinka yesterday fairly comfortably. And now we have, he's up against Andrey Rublev. I mean, this looks a real tasty affair here. Rublev is minus 121. Davidovich Fokina is minus 103. So it's close to pick 'em as you can get. 1.5 the spread. Total 22.5. But if you are a follower of the head-to-heads, then you would be all over Rublev, who leads 5-0. Now, I watched one of these play in 2023 in Dubai, where we bet Rublev to win the tournament. He lost the first set 6-1, and he I can't remember the exact way that match went. But
he was about 6-2 down, wasn't he, in the tiebreak or something?
Davidovich Fokina should have won it so easily, and ever since then it's been a bit of a mental thing for him. The one thing I would say is a lot of the tie breaks in these matches between these two as well. There's been 4 tie breaks in those 5 matches as well. A lot of long games. I think all of the matches, virtually all of them, would have cashed on overs every single game. So last time they met was in Beijing. In this last year, Rublev won 6-4, 7-5. Madrid 7-6, 6-4. Rome 7-6, 6-3. And in Dubai, that game that I watched, 1-6, 7-6, 7-6. So quite close matches, as you would suggest from the betting.
Yeah, I mean, the money's come for Rublev on this one. He was 1.9, I believe, in the opening show with Bet Rivers. Minus 121. It's about 1.8.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. So yeah, money's come for Rublev. Not surprised really. I would have been tempted at 1.9, anywhere between 1.9 and sort of evens. I would have been tempted, slightly less tempted at minus 121, around 1.8. Davidovich didn't appear to have any issues with the shoulder injury that he seemed to have against Alcaraz when we bet him in the semi-finals of Monte Carlo. He didn't seem to have any problems with that at all when he beat Wawrinka. It was a pretty poor performance from Stan, though. We had him to win the first set. He got 32% of first serves in that first set. You got no chance if you're serving at those sort of levels. On current form, you would suggest that this would be the best chance he has of finally beating Rublev, but it's not been a good matchup for him. I know he's been very close on occasions, but he's lost some ridiculous tiebreaks like the one you mentioned in Dubai. That wasn't the only one. He lost one 12-10 as well, if I remember rightly. I think he was miles. I think he lost one from 6-0, didn't he? Or 6-1, something like that, against Rublev. He's certainly lost numerous. In fact, he's lost every single tiebreak they've played, I think. Yeah, he has. And he's been ahead in most of those. So it was a problem that Davidovich, it was a common problem for him. He was always extremely mentally fragile. If he ever served for a set, you'd be backing the other guy. He seems to be a little bit tougher mentally these days, this season anyway. But is he tough enough to overcome this head-to-head? I mean, if you look at all the matches, even including the ones on hard, the service points won and return points won totals 109-91 in favour of Rublev. If we just isolate the matches played on clay, it's actually even worse for him. 112-88 in favour of Davidovich, in favour of Rublev. So he's done pretty well to keep it as competitive as he has on those statistics. Rublev's actually held serve 88% of the time on clay against Davidovich Fokina. So it's been a very dominant head-to-head for Rublev. If you look at 2025, you could perhaps argue, the form now is better for Davidovich Fokina. Yes, slightly, but still not great. Davidovich Fokina, 68% win rate this season, very healthy win rate, but a service points won and return points won total of 102, which is good, but it's still not as good as Rublev. Rublev, a much worse win rate, 58%, but he's got service points won and return points won total of 103 still, so he's still slightly ahead on the statistics. So on the data, you can see why the money's come for Rublev from 1.9. I'm not sure I could back him at minus 121, given his ups and downs recently, Rublev. I would be inclined to wait a little bit here and go in play. If you can get closer to evens for Rublev, I think that would probably be a bet. But yeah, perhaps not for me at minus 121. But you can see where the money's coming from, why they've come for Rublev. It's been a very dominant career series for him.
All you got to do is hope that Davidovich Fokina holds serves first, and you'll be even money Rublev straight away. It's the way it goes in these matches. So
you can
Rublev is a lean for us, but at minus 121, we think it's a little bit of a too short a price to get involved in. But make sure you follow all the in-play across on Bet Rivers. Let's move on to our final match in Barcelona. Our final match on the show today, only the 4 matches, is Jaume Munar, who's been very popular on this show throughout the last few months. He's up against Khachanov, minus 139 for the Russian, plus 112 for Jaume Munar, 1.5 spread, minus 113 the pair. Total here, 22.5, which I quite like the overs here. They met once before in Madrid, 2019. Khachanov won 2-1. It was 6-4, 6-7, 6-3, which produced 1932 match games in that match. Both pretty evenly matched in terms of their clay court form this season. Khachanov had a long win against Norrie. Didn't play that great, but recovered from a match against Medvedev where he lost in round 1 in Monte Carlo. A match he probably should have done a little bit better. And Munar had a big win against Francis Tiafoe after he'd lost in qualification to Altmaier in Monte Carlo. This is quite an interesting one. You say it's going to be could play quite fast, which may suit Khachanov, but you've mentioned Munar as a player that sometimes may be underlooked in sort of quicker conditions. Yeah,
certainly on hard. His best work recently, by far, has come on hard. He's struggled a bit on clay. This is another one that's the odds have changed since it was priced up, certainly quite a bit, actually. They were both, this was priced at 1.9 each, who Bet Rivers on the opening show. Now we're saying minus 139 for Khachanov. What's that, 1.7 something?
It's about 8 to 11, minus 136. It's about 8 to 11, so it's 1.72.
Yeah, so he was like 10 to 11-ish. 10 to 11 the pair. They just priced it up as a pick 'em. Now the money's coming for Khachanov. Again, I agree with this move as well, which is annoying. I like to go against the trends where I can, but I do agree with this move. I mean, it was a great comeback from Munar yesterday against an opponent who initially overpowered him in Francis Tiafoe. I think he was a 7-3 love, something like that. He might have to do the same again here if he's going to win this Munar. As I said, his best work lately, Munar's come on hard courts. Clay has been a bit of a struggle for him, which is a total reversal of how everyone used to see and perceive Munar. He was always a clay grinder, struggled on the quicker surfaces. Now he's completely changed that around. He's doing great on hard and he's struggling on clay. Quite a surprising turnaround. If you look at what he's done, last 12 months on clay at main level, Munar, just a 38% win rate and a service points won and return points won total of 99. If we compare that to what he's done this season on all hard courts, that's indoor hard and outdoor hard at main level, 62% win rate and a service points won and return points won total of 104. So a much, much better record on hard, and that includes indoor hard, where he's always struggled in those sort of conditions. Now it seems that he's not got a problem with that at all, and he's struggled transitioning to the clay. If we're going on the clay numbers, which it would make sense to do, then Khachanov certainly leads the way. Look at what he's done the last 12 months on clay at main level: 60% win rate, service points won and return points won, total of 104. That's a good 5 points better than Munar and a much, much better win rate. The head-to-head's quite old, probably not that relevant anymore. Munar isn't that player anymore, as I've said. But if you're interested in the stats of that, 105 to 95 in favour of Khachanov in terms of service points won and return points won totals of that particular match. Munar's another one of these Spaniards. I've mentioned a couple of times, a lot of Spanish players really struggle here. It's such a prestigious and historic tournament. He hasn't done much in Barcelona either, and he's a player like Khachanov. Khachanov trained here for a number of years as well. Munar trained here as a teenager for 6 years. So he knows conditions better than most, but he's only made the last 16 once. He's only got a 50% win rate, and his service points won and return points won total here is 99. So he's not done it at all in Barcelona. Obviously a very high level tournament. He's faced some top players, but record isn't that great. Again, it's similar to the Rublev match. If you were saying it's 1.9, 1.9, which they originally were, then I would be going with Khachanov. Minus 139, it's probably gone a bit too far the other way. So again, if I'm betting in this one, which I may well do, I'll have to wait. I think I'll have to wait and be patient and wait for a better price than minus 139. But my lean is for Khachanov, but it's just gone a little bit too far.
May have missed the boat on Khachanov price there. Opened up at minus 110 now, minus 139. The money has come for the Russian. I suppose the best thing to do, as Sean said, is just wait. Hope Munar serves first, holds the serve. We might hit minus 110 straight away. So
you get a lot of swings, don't you, in these clay matches?
Yeah, they move. I mean, when you get matches like this, when they're sort of pick of matches, one guy holds the serve, he goes favourite, a marginal favourite, and then the other guy, it's so important to serve first.
And a lot of breaks,
hope things go your way. Yeah,
3-0 down first set wouldn't be a major problem, and you'd get a decent price then. So you just have to be patient sometimes on the clay.
And as you've seen from the matches we've seen over the last few days, there's so many swings and breaks of serves, double breaks down, sets and double breaks down, and players recovering back and doing so well. So there are going to be long matches, and long, interesting betting trading matches. So you want to make sure you watch it. So if you do that, you have to have a bet with Bet Rivers and live stream it on your mobile device. So really, our recap for tomorrow is is it just the one official play? I think is it Marozsan beat Humbert?
Yeah, that's right, Marozsan. Yeah, to beat Humbert at around about 1.9ish or something like that. 1.89, I think he was.
Yeah, minus 113 is Fabian Marozsan to beat Hugo Humbert. We have a little bit of a lean for David Goffin at plus 175, and we would play on Rublev if he hit even money, and we would play on Khachanov if he went back to the original line of minus 110 if the service went our way, if the player held serve, the opposing player hold serve on the opening match. Remember, there's loads of content here. Please hit that subscribe button. As I said at the top of the show, it's really, really important. It's your way of thanking us for all the free content that we give you. So please hit that subscribe button. Give us a like as well. Lots of content coming your way. Betting Weekly live every day, Monday through to Friday. Champions League today. I'll be on there in about an hour. But this probably will not be live by then. But I'll be on there. You may be on live for Betting Weekly Tennis Live at 6 o'clock, but I'll be on again. You might have had enough of my face today. But a real lot of work for me today. 3 different shows, 3 live shows. Betting Weekly Live every day, Monday through to Friday, 11 o'clock Eastern Time, 4 o'clock in the UK, and Betting Weekly Tennis Live Monday through to Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 o'clock in the UK. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. BettingWeeklyStudios.com is where you need to go for that. And we have exclusive picks, including the Navone pick yesterday, which I gave on the newsletter, which cashed. And we have the weekend guide, the Insider, coming out on Friday. Sean, that is it for the week. Where are we? We're in Madrid next week, aren't we?
Yeah, so it's a late start, so it won't start until Wednesday. So there won't be anything on Sunday because we won't have a draw until, I presume, Monday. So I would guess that the next show will be Tuesday.
Yep. And so we have a big tournament. It's a 1,000 event over in Madrid, and it's the men's and the women's as well. Myself and Rory Giovanni will be previewing the WTA stuff. I think Rory will probably be there as well. He lives in Madrid. Yeah. So make sure you follow his content.
He was there last year, wasn't he?
Well, it was the content. It was the most talked about content in the whole Instagram, what we had, when Rory Giovanni had his sandwiches stolen from him at the gate He
Did that happen?
Yes, he did. He took his packed lunch to the
He didn't
gate.
say that to me, but okay.
And he filmed it, and they said you can't. He had to eat his sandwiches without taking them in. This is what the punters come here for. That's the Instagram stuff. Forget Kardashians and all that. Roy Giovanni having his sandwiches taken off him is what we're here for.
And then taking a photograph with me on the tube train.
Sorry,
do you remember that? Do you remember you asked him to take a selfie, and he took one of me and him on the train.
Yeah, this is what the thousands of people are coming here for. That's all to come, folks. It's going to be on the Instagram account. Make sure you follow that. He sure won't be there, but Rory will be there with his sandwiches, with his packed lunch, showing you what's happening. Because we win is where you want to go. That's it for this week. Back next week with a bumper edition of Betting Weekly Game Bet Match and Betting Weekly WTA in the tournament in Madrid. Take care and have a good week.